Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you had a great week. I think I told you before that Amelia's on April break this week. We have been having a great time. We enjoyed massages and movies. That was so fun. We saw the new Snow White movie and we had beautiful massages together. It's so fun. It's so fun to have this fabulous human that I love and adore that likes all the things I like. It'll be really great when she knows how to drive. Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay. Back to reality, and I hope you are having a great week. I hope that spring is treating you well. I hope that your heart is full of green grass and blue skies and sunshine and all of those great things. It's just, it's beautiful to witness the change of seasons here, and it brings such joy to my heart, even though it certainly brings a new level of chores. It feels really good to move my body, to not be freezing while I'm out there, and just watch the progress of this property. Talk about getting water and sunshine on your dreams and how fast they grow. Everything on this property, once the sun is shining on it and the snow is melted, it is unbelievable. I'm witnessing it come to life, and it's so beautiful and so fun and so expansive. And I love how it is just a great reminder of all the things that are happening to the dreams in our hearts as well. So I hope that this podcast is getting water and sunshine on your dreams. I am loving highlighting the stories of women that are saying yes to themselves in big and small ways. And today's guest is no different. Marla Mervis-Hartmann is on the show today, and she asks the most beautiful question: do you love your body? And as the creator of Love Your Body, Love Yourself, Marla Mervis-Hartmann assists women in finding a yes to that question. After years of struggling with her own dysfunctional body relationship, Marla has transformed her experiences into services to help women discover, honor, and appreciate their bodies. As a professional, Marla has been featured at TEDx Salinas. She is a best-selling author of Befriend Yourself, Finding Freedom with Food and Peace with Your Body. Marla has followed her passion for women's health down many study paths, including women's sexual wellness, postpartum care, Restore Your Core educator, Tantra teacher certification, yoga teacher training, and massage therapy. She has a certification in integrative somatic trauma therapy. Marla has been featured in major media outlets like ABC, NBC, and Fox. In all her work, Marla is devoted to empowering women to feel good about themselves and to live the life they desire. See, she's just like us. She lives in Maui with her husband and son, working full-time as a professional coach, speaker, facilitator, and Reiki master and teacher. I am so delighted to introduce to you my friend Marla Mervis-Hartmann. Please enjoy this conversation. I can't wait to hear what you think. Marla, I am so delighted to hold space with you for these next several minutes. You have really beautiful energy, and I'm just looking forward to our conversation.
I am too. I know you have such wonderful guests on your podcast. And so I'm just delighted to be one of them. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. It is so fun. And Thursdays are my recording day, and I have several interviews, and they're just delightful. And I love it's just such a fun day. I feel like it's as if I was having a cocktail party or something at my
Yeah.
house, but nobody came over. But it was just still so fun and so expansive. These conversations are really life-giving to me, so I'm thrilled that other people are enjoying them as well and listening, and I'm excited to add your fabulous narrative to our collective story.
Well, wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. So how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
In this season, I have been saying yes by just allowing myself to be seen more.
Ooh, I love that. Please say more.
So I wrote a book that just came out a couple months ago.
Yay.
So I've been I mean, that's like a whoa, everyone's reading my story. And, so there's a sense of vulnerability there. And I'm pretty transparent with my story, but there's something about writing a book and knowing that people are reading it has been quite fascinating, right? And then just doing, events and talking to people like you. And so yeah, so it's just saying yes to that, like leaning into more of that part of me being seen.
I love that. It's interesting perspective that you bring up as well. I hadn't really thought of that. Obviously, in the telling of our stories in person, we can be selective, we can read the room, we can know perhaps what portions of it will be most in service to who's ever listening or how you can support a client or a friend. But in a book, it's like anyone could buy that. Anyone can read that. So I can really appreciate the level of vulnerability that accompanies that practice, that decision that you've made.
Yeah, and what I'll have to say is when I look back on, so I had an interview with a in a podcast that I was so vulnerable. I said things on that podcast that I was like, and I knew the woman very well. She was one of my students, and I shared some things, and I was like, when you have that vulnerability hangover, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that. And I have had more response from that podcast than
Mm.
any other. Like people like really leaned in. So it was an important piece for me to realize that sharing my story, the truth, and
Right.
not, I mean, there's certain things we keep sacred, of
Sure.
course, right? In this world of social media and showing everything, there's some things that need to be sacred.
Right. Definitely.
And there are things that you know, are here to be shared.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I have so much to say about that. And I also want to say again, I know I mentioned you have really beautiful energy. Your voice makes me want to not talk so that you keep talking. It's so beautiful and warm and inviting.
Oh,
I talk to a lot of people, especially on Thursdays. So I'm not making, oh my gosh, this is how you know I'm not lying.
oh.
Sorry about that. I don't mean to intend to make you feel uncomfortable. There's some times where you just feel really seen by a person, and I'm not so much feeling like, "Oh my gosh, you just saw me," but what I'm witnessing is the energy of somebody who sees themselves,
Hmm.
right? Like, you have clearly held space for yourself in a way that you are able to articulate, the elements of your story that are in service to your reader and also evolve in that healing process in such a way that when you find yourself as a guest on a podcast and you're feeling even more safe and seen, you were able to share another level of
Mhm.
that evolution. It's so beautiful.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me.
Of course. It's my favorite thing to do.
I know you're very good at it.
Well, thank you. I look forward to doing it in a less demonstrative way because I know it can put some people ill at ease, but
Mm.
I'm doing the best I can here.
Yeah.
So,
Not me. You be
okay, good.
you.
I'm glad. Hooray, hooray. I'm so glad. And it's interesting that you mentioned that that happened as a guest on a podcast. I was just saying to our guest a couple of weeks ago how I feel a different level of freedom or choice in how I use my own voice when I am on somebody else's podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think because I'm not the hostess of the party, or I'm not looking
Right.
at the clock, or I'm not like I'm
Yeah,
just
well, you're
talking.
not the one holding the space, so you don't have to have that masculine container. You can drop into the feminine and
Right.
just allow yourself to receive and be in that space. So yeah, it's definitely different. It's a different
Yes,
place to be.
it is. I like it.
Yeah.
It's really
Both are
fun.
great. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so why did you write this book and to whom did you write it?
Hmm. So the book is called Befriend Yourself, Finding Freedom with Food and Peace with Your Body. And I wrote this book because I know that this message of being free with our bodies and with food is so big for so many people. And
Yes.
so many people are really struggling to find freedom, to feel okay, to realize that they're okay in their bodies
Right.
and to have peace with their food. I mean, so many people are struggling with that. And I've come from a long history of dysfunction with my body, with food. And I know that a book really has a powerful way of sharing. And so I knew that I needed to get this out. Now, this book is for anyone in a body, anyone who has, struggled with food or any sort of addiction. And it's also for really the person who is in the depths of despair with it, right? Because I
Mm,
was, and I've been there and I know what it's like, right? But my story isn't like a unique story, Wendy.
right.
My story really is one that so many people can relate to. I don't know how many people have, oh, I had an eating disorder then. Oh, I had, oh, I struggle with that. Oh my gosh, I don't, the amount of noise that people
Right.
carry around in their heads.
Right.
And what happens is because they don't think it's bad enough,
Hmm.
they don't go to see a therapist or a coach like me or like you, right? They think
Right.
it's normal because we're living in diet culture.
Yeah.
And diet culture tells us that A, we're supposed to feel bad about our bodies, and B, that we're supposed to be questioning what we're eating constantly and buying things and figuring it all out, right? That's
Right.
the system that we're in, that we're ingrained in. And so I wanted to share my story on how I got myself out of this. I mean, it's a bloody miracle. I never thought I'd ever
Right.
be able to feel good about myself or feel free to, go to a restaurant and sit down and actually have a conversation with people and have it not be like, what am I going to eat? What are they eating? And, like just the amount of anxiety that has come
Mm,
from food and body image. And I'm not alone in that.
of course you
I
are
know a
not.
good story and I know a good can really get in there, right? And
Right.
my book and I had someone share with me just the other day and it was so perfect because the way that I write the book, it's not about the mind getting it. It's really
Right.
about the body. I'm really speaking to the body.
Mm,
I'm speaking to an embodied experience of how you can heal, how we all can heal.
Wow. Okay. It's such beautiful work. It's such necessary work. I would love to hear any portion of your story that you would like to share because I'm fascinated with how we move through our own story, how we begin to change our mindset and embody these principles in the midst of being reminded of what has for so long been considered our trigger, which is hunger or food. We have to do that multiple times a day. It's,
Yeah.
for someone who is recovering from an addiction with regard to alcohol, parties or the holidays or summer might be something that's triggering, but this relationship with food and with our body and with our worth are so knit together, and we're reminded of this garment multiple times a day.
Yeah, there's no way of getting away from it, right?
Right.
If you try to get away from it, you're actually in the disease, right? And
Right.
yeah. And so, if you look at the 12-step model, there's been the 12 step for alcohol, and you just get rid of the alcohol or you get rid of the
Sure.
substance, whatever it is. And just like you're saying, food, that's not an option. And either is your
Right.
body. So if you have an addiction with your body, if you have addiction with, negative self-talk and obsessing about your body, you're not going to get away from your body no matter what we do, no matter what coping mechanisms we do to try to heal that, right? And
Right.
so that can feel like a prison at first. It really can, right? Because it's just like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yep.
And it's such a gift too, because when we heal that, we actually get to be very present with the body, and we get to have a relationship with food that's actually quite pleasurable.
Yes.
So as an alcoholic, you can't all of a sudden enjoy a glass of wine, right?
Right.
No, no, it's a deeper learning. It's a deeper internal and spiritual learning of how to be with our bodies and how to feel safe with food,
Mm,
right? And it really
yes.
is about that. It is about safety. It is about pleasure. And it is healing, as is with most addiction or most coping mechanisms, is connected to a wound.
Yeah.
So while we are finding peace with our body and our food, it isn't just about that. That's just the surface level. So when someone
Sure.
comes to me and is like, these are things are up, I want to fix my body, and I want to fix, I'm like, okay. But in order to fix that, we're looking at why that is here to begin with. So lots of times when people come to me, we're talking about the practicality of food and some things that need to be worked out on that level, but we're talking about the deeper connection from the wound to the food.
Mhm.
And what happens for a lot of people, they're like, I've already talked about this. I've already gone to therapy. I've already
Right.
done this whole thing. Why am I having to do it again? I mean, we're on a journey, right? And everything
Sure.
is peeling the onion, and it's like, it's okay. This is where we are right now, right?
Right.
And there is the connection to the food and the wound that has to be connected, or the wound and the body image. And when they're connected is when I have seen, at least in my practice, amazing miracles of healing, myself included, right?
Sure.
And the other piece of that, and I'll just kind of jump ahead.
Yeah, please.
So we have the wound, and then we also have, and I think this aligns with your message, is of saying yes to life and saying yes to
Mhm.
yourself, is what also I see is that people are so afraid of their own power.
Yeah.
They're so afraid of allowing themselves to shine that they dumb themselves down.
Right.
And how we do that is so easy, because you can just go on social media and start comparing yourself to other people, and now you get the get out of jail free card that no, you're not going to be seen, and no, you're not
Right.
going to help anyone, and no, your passion for life isn't worthy because you binged earlier, or your
Right.
body isn't where you want it. I mean, and
Right.
I did that very clearly. I remember just feeling like I felt my power, and it was my light was putting a shadow on other people, and I felt bad
Mm,
about that.
sure. Well, right. And you didn't come up with that thought on your own.
Tell me what you mean about that.
Like someone telling you to tone it down
Oh,
and don't be braggadocious or don't be too big for your britches, you're too much, and let's shine a light on your siblings or all of these things.
yeah, I think more it was being seen. Like when I was being seen, I saw
Yeah.
that other people felt bad about themselves,
Mm,
right? And I saw that where where my confidence was strong, they didn't
right.
have confidence in their maybe whether it was jealousy or not. But as a young girl, you don't
Sure.
want the people that you love around you to feel bad.
Right. Right. And we often feel like it's our responsibility because we're aware of it. That makes it our responsibility to fix.
Totally. And no one was really there to intercede. I think
Sure.
we're really taught in our we're not really taught how to be in our greatness.
Yeah.
Like as even as parents, we're not teaching our children like, okay, when you are great, this may happen. And that's
Yes.
okay. And how do you hold those pieces? Right. So,
Right.
because it's often the parent that doesn't know how to hold it either. It's like, who is this child? They're like
Right.
way brighter than me. I don't know how to, right. And so we often get the messages even from our parents that how we are isn't okay.
Sure. I that's so interesting that you say that. I think that my experience is different because my experience to motherhood was different. I spent 24 Mother's Days waiting for someone small in my house to call me mom. So it took a really long time and we adopted our daughter from China and we went to China when I was 48 years old and came back with a 2-year-old. And I mean, she's a unicorn. She's the most amazing human I've ever met. I love
Oh,
her to the stars and back. And because I am in my mid 50s raising a 10-year-old, I'm almost like grandma in the separation of like what of my life experience, certainly, and the things that I see in her because I'm also doing this deep personal development work myself. I am able to celebrate those things in her rather than feel like it's something I have to manage and get through my day and whatever things that I might have felt as a young mother, like when I thought I wanted to be one. It's just really, really different. So I appreciate you saying that. And those are pivotal conversations that we have with ourselves as we are reflecting our surroundings and watching our parents interact with us and then translating that in 5-year-old language of what this
yeah.
means I'm responsible to do and how I think it's fascinating as well that coming to those realizations as a young girl and taking that role on and having that role not evolve even though we are evolving, right? Like I still feel as responsible to do cartwheels in the living room to entertain the dinner guests as I did,
Right.
you know, as a young child.
Yeah, I totally get that. And that is, that's what we're all walking around with. We're all
Yeah,
walking around with our inner characters, our inner children who are not quite healed and they're kind of running the show sometimes.
sure.
Right. And so some of these pieces inside myself, it's like, no, it's safe to be seen, coming back to being seen. It's safe
Right.
to be seen. And it's interesting now that we're talking about it, as I've been sharing my book more and been putting it out there and getting so much great feedback, that little part of me came up and was like,
Mm.
is this okay? Are we allowed to do this?
Mm.
And I've had to have another conversation with this little one. I'm like, yeah, you
Right.
know what? We're okay. It's
Yeah.
all right. We got
Yes.
this. right? You know, and that's the thing with healing, and that's the thing with being on this journey of personal growth, is that we get to heal these younger pieces. We get to integrate them into our lives, and we get to do it from a place of not shaming ourselves, because usually when these pieces are up, right, they bring around behaviors that we don't like. So if we put that into the
Sure.
context of food and body image, it's like, I know when I am being activated by something in life, because there's going to be a food thing that's present for a lot of,
Mm,
so a lot of my clients, it's like all of a sudden they are like, they're just so mean to themselves around their body. Like, my
mm,
body's, fat, and it's this and it's that, or they're binging, or they're purging, or they're restricting, or they're doing some sort of behavior that then they shame themselves for,
sure.
right? I shouldn't be doing this. I should
Right.
know better. Right. And I'm like, you
Right.
do know better. There's a part of you, your soul knows that this behavior is not in alignment with what is actually what you want for your life.
Sure.
However, there's still a part of you that thinks that this is what it needs. So we're not going to make that part wrong and shame it. We need to find a way to love that piece so it
Right.
slowly finds the safety to let go of that behavior, let go of the negative self-talk, right?
Yes. Yes.
Or whatever food behavior, or whatever behavior anyone who's listening to this has, right? And so when we're go into shame, it's a very clear sign that we need to
Yeah.
do the opposite. Now, that's easier said than done, and we can have a
Totally.
conversation about that, but that's really what is being seen.
Right. And that negative emotion is, as Abraham Hicks would say, it's the evidence that your inner being has a different opinion about whatever it is you're thinking about. And that's why it feels bad in your body, because it's different than what your wise self, what your
Exactly.
creator is feeling about you. How did you figure out that your relationship with food was connected to a wound?
Okay, so dieting is so addictive, right?
Right.
And being obsessed with our body is so addictive. So I got into that, and my way of coping with life was my body and food. No, I don't come from any huge trauma,
Sure.
right? But we all have wounds.
Yep.
And I really truly believed that the only issue that I had in my life was my body not being able to control my food, and was also that my body wasn't that specific weight.
Mhm.
That I really thought, Wendy, that when I healed
Sure.
that I was going to be free.
And by healing it, you mean by losing weight and
Yeah.
being,
Oh
yeah.
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 By being in control, I was gonna
Right.
finally control this food thing, right?
Right.
Not realizing that the control was actually the issue to begin with. And
Yes.
so this is the thing, Wendy. I don't come from big numbers. I was born into a very thin, strong, healthy body.
Yeah.
So I've had the body that a lot of people would want,
Sure.
but that didn't really ever keep me from feeling okay in it. No, that
Right.
wiser part of me knew that there was a part of me that's always been very confident. I've always been, it's just how I came out. I came out with jazz hands,
Mhm.
like that's how I came out. But I still had this other part that was just like, rah, rah. And so after many dark nights of the soul, and you can read the book, you can watch my
Yes,
TEDx
yes, yes.
talk. My TEDx talk will go into that very clearly. But I realized after I had an intense binge experience,
Okay.
lying in bed in my New York City apartment, and I was just like, this is my life, and I'm never going to get out of this.
Mm.
And just feeling just so bad.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment where I was like, oh, I'm going to fix this. Right. And I said this many different times, but
Sure.
I was like, I'm just going to get all the willpower that I can possibly can. And this is going to end.
Right.
Right. So then I did. I was like on that diet. I was
Right.
restricting. I was hitting the gym. I was doing it.
Right. Cue the music montage in the movie.
Right. But also, if you were to look at that as a movie, you would see that my life got smaller and smaller and smaller. I wasn't with going out with friends. I was
Hmm.
highly anxious. I wasn't feeding myself. I was running on fumes,
Yeah.
but I went to the gym and I stepped on the scale and I was finally that number.
Yeah.
That's when I hit the bottom of the bottom of the
Mm,
bottom that I needed to
right.
hit, that said, this is not about my food and this is not about
Right.
my body. This is a deeper issue. And so that is from that moment, I was like, I need help.
Wow.
And so then that took me on a long journey of recovery. It took me a while to get where I am today. And that's okay because it takes what it takes.
Right.
But yeah, that's when I realized like this has nothing to do. And just because I knew that at that moment doesn't
Sure.
mean that I turned that switch off. And I was,
Right.
it's a fine. No, I had to learn how to trust my body. I had to continue to say yes to, it is safe in this moment to trust myself with food. It's safe in this moment. I'm okay. I'm okay. It was like constantly talking myself off the ledge or getting support from others. Lots of support.
Right. Right. What do you recommend? Like, do you recommend, I mean, obviously everyone is different. So what are you finding works, that accountability and process and what?
Yes, all of that, right? So it is a somatic experience. Our body, it's
Right.
in the body. The issues we hold in ourselves. So it's not just about getting the mind on board. It's about literally getting the body, getting the nervous system to feel okay.
Yeah.
Right? So we're working with the mindset. We're working with these deep beliefs that we have that are
Right.
sometimes ingrained from childhood that
Hmm.
somehow got attached to the food that we have to even find them. We
Right.
have to even find what they are. And then when we find them, we need to deprogram them or unprogram, whatever the word is,
Right.
right?
Deactivate.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got to deactivate that from the mind, but also in the body,
Yeah.
right? So it's a lot of story. It's a lot of getting the body on board, right? It's a lot about holding space.
Yeah.
You know, I'm I'm a deep believer in the support of God, in the support of
Yes.
spirit, in the spirit of in the support of higher power,
Hmm.
and which I call a higher vibration of love, right?
Hmm.
And for me, I grew up Christian. I grew up,
Hmm.
still am,
Hmm.
and so that has been a foundation of mine. And I know a
Sure.
lot of people don't have that foundation, but it's always there. It's
Right.
present. It's available for every single one of us. And
Right.
so in the moments where we don't know what to do, we get to have this opportunity to allow hope and peace
Yes.
and a God presence to come in and hold us in these
Yes.
moments. And I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that, right?
Right.
And so it's aligning people with that force.
Sure.
I do believe that we do need help around this. If it is something
Yeah.
that is it is there and you can't do it on your own,
Right.
it's so important to have someone like me or someone else to help work on these things.
Yes. And I really I want to go back to my question as I'm thinking about it, and yes, of course, accountability and processes, but really more practices. It's not a grid where it's like, "Oh, if you hate your body, go to page 3, and then page 3 so, oh, and then do this, and then do this, and if you do that, and hey, if you do it with a friend, then you're, 30 days to getting it all together." It's not that. It is,
It is
as you
not.
said, like, somatic, it is embodiment, it is asking God, "Tell me, don't guide me today,
God needs to
guide
tell me what to
me."
do.
Right. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? To whom would you have me say it? Sometimes in 15-minute intervals, if that is where we are. And so much trust is required for those practices. Trusting God is, like, I was raised to do that like you, and I have those foundations, and that's an easier checkbox for me. The trusting myself, is where it can get a little messy, because even in recent times, I have these practices, I'm strong, I'm empowered, I'm saying yes, I'm here for it, and I'm helping people and helping them identify their yes, and I feel very good, and that is how I normally feel. And the past couple of weeks have been heavier than normal, and I'm not at all doubting God's presence in my life. I'm not at all doubting all these affirmations and these truths and these principles that I'm hanging on to. My doubt is coming from me. Like, how come all these things that have been working very, very well, and I felt the beautiful result of them, to feel like they are not working, and knowing that I'm out of alignment with myself.
Right. And it's actually not about the practices, it's about the energy underneath the practices. So it's so interesting. Literally just had this conversation with my sister on the phone on the way here. We were talking about, she's like, I feel like I have faith, and I'm like, well, there's faith in you, in God, then there's faith in ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so that can feel a little bit different. And for some people, it may be the opposite. It's like, I have faith in me, but I not trust. Right.
Yeah.
And that's another piece of it. Right.
Right.
And so in these moments where, and I get it, because we do have those moments of, is this working? What am I
Yeah.
doing? Right. But for me, that's another space of like connection. Right. So when I'm in and I'm feeling good, it's like, it has this
Right.
sort of energy like, yeah, yeah. Right.
Yes.
And then I feel like there's also this part of me that's just like, hmm, oh, here I am, Marla.
Yeah.
Oh, like a deeper, intimate experience, right?
Hmm.
And often, I don't know if this is true for you, but sometimes those feelings of it's not okay, I'm not okay sort of feelings, it's just the contrast of not being in the lightness, but it's not actually
Right.
about not feeling light. It's just another flavor of it. But it can trigger, activate, oh, this isn't okay. But it's actually, no, I just want to be a little more quiet and intimate with myself.
Yeah. For me, my question has been, well, I have had a feeling, a sense, a message. It is safe to be at rest. And when I have felt that during meditation, during prayer, when I'm asking myself, what does love want me to know? That's the answer. And I feel it in my body. I have chills when I say it. And then my logician, my mind goes, I don't think we have any evidence about rest and safety going together. And who is going to do all of these chores on the farm if I'm at rest? And who is going to write all the emails and do all the social media posts and do all these things? And it's the Course in Miracles talks about this journey of no distance from your head to your heart, and how the concept that it is safe to be at rest, where that I know that to be true, but I am working on feeling that to be true.
Oh, Wendy, it's such a big one. I tell you, I think it's just as, for me, it's been such a journey of slowing down. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's not even like just like for me, it's been terror. If I slow down, it's not just like it's not safe. It's like you're in freaking danger. You do
Yes.
not slow down.
Thank
And my
you.
body,
Because
like
it feels that big. Thank you very
it
much.
does feel that big. And, I've had in this past 3 years, probably like 3, 4 years ago, I had a big health crash and I was not really able to function in my normal
Wow.
way. And I was literally, horizontal.
Wow.
And I still could not get my mind to shut the bleep
Right.
up,
Yeah.
and it has taken me years
Yeah.
of learning. And I think it's an unlearning. I think it's also an
Mm,
epidemic. So we're talking about negative body image. I think this slowing down thing is an epidemic. And there's so many women like you and I,
yeah.
specifically at this age in our life, where it's just like,
Right.
I can't do it anymore. But yet the mind, doesn't catch up to the body, and it takes
Right.
some time to figure it out.
Sure.
And so, when I'm teaching people to love their bodies, this is the piece. And I've had to learn that as well. And I'm still learning it on so many different nuances, right? Because I do deal with a lot of fatigue, and it shows up. And I used to get
Right.
so mad at myself, so mad. And now I have more acceptance. I have more
Mm,
surrender around it. Do I like it? No, I don't like it at all. But I didn't actually trust myself to have energy, because if I had energy, I was going to, just run myself to the ground again.
mm,
So I've been learning how to have a little more energy. And okay, can you handle that much energy, Marla, and not like stress yourself and burn yourself out? Oh,
right.
all right. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
that's so fascinating. I didn't think about that part. So that's really amazing, like learning that balance and then also investigating, like since it's shadowy, and I like to get a flashlight in there. If it's like, ooh, that's a growth edge. Let's dig around and see what else is in there. I think there's also some work to be done around my relationship with support
Mhm.
and asking for and receiving help, which are two different things because I've
They
gotten better
are.
at asking for help. And then when the person says yes, then I say, oh, it's okay. Never mind. Like I got so much relief in the asking in my body, but that it made me feel like they already helped me and the thing is done. And so then I don't take the offer.
The next step. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I still have all the work to do.
That's great though. But if you think about it, like that's
Yeah.
what your nervous system needed at that moment, just to
Yeah.
like, that's enough right now.
Oh, yay. I didn't do it wrong.
No,
Thank you.
no, I mean, listen, if you
Right.
were able to do that, but there's still some goodness in that. Like
Yes.
so to go back to that conversation we had just like a moment ago, it's like
Yeah.
when we're healing in stages.
Mhm.
So people
Right.
will come to me and they'll be like, I I want to stop binge eating, or I want to stop emotional eating, or,
Mhm.
and so they're 3 months in with me, say, and then they have another binge
Yeah.
and they're like, I wanted to be over with this.
Yeah. I decided.
And that's not the way it is. So when what we get to do is we get to have more and more time
Mm.
in the goodness. We get to have more and more time
Yeah.
in the freedom. And then it gets a little bit longer and a little bit longer.
Mm.
But there's still those moments of expansion and contraction.
Sure.
So still the binge behavior may still be in the field, but it's not there as much. And then it
Right.
begins to go away even more. So for me, it was like, wow, I've gone for 2 days and I haven't looked at my body and told myself that I was, wasn't enough or ugly or whatever
Right.
all the awful things. And then it would be longer. And now I realized that when that's back, there is something deeper here to look at.
Right.
It's not about like fixing my body or
Yeah.
telling myself to shut up,
Right.
telling myself I'm wrong and Abraham Hicks would say blah blah blah. No, it's like,
Right.
oh, let's Abraham Hicks is right, but
Yeah.
let's look at why you're feeling this way.
Yeah. Yes. And to do something that feels better.
Yeah, a little more
Right.
compassionate.
Right. And it could,
And
I mean, it's more effective if it's completely unrelated
yes,
to the thing, like pet your dog. That's why
yeah,
there's all of this, you live on Maui. So you have access to lots of pleasurable things. I live on a flower farm in New England. I have access to a lot of pleasurable things as well. And just going outside, taking a walk on the beach, looking, I love to look at the moss on the rocks. I just think it's fascinating. We both grew up in Southern California, you and I. Um, there was no moss growing on any rocks there. And I
Mm,
just think it's so beautiful. And it's something that even in this moment, like it raises my vibration. I feel better. Did I ask for help and receive it? No. Like I didn't solve the thing that I would say, quote unquote, is my issue, but I feel better. And that's always the remedy,
absolutely.
right? Like not, and I'm not doing it in an avoidant way,
No, I didn't hear that.
right?
No, it's not about avoiding, it's about meeting ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
And being compassionate and
Yes.
gracious like we would to anybody else.
Right. And that's essentially what the whole theme of the book is befriend yourself.
Hmm.
Right. So when I looked at my journey of healing my relationship with my body and food, that's what I learned to do. I learned to
Yeah.
become a really good friend to myself.
Mm.
I learned to listen to myself. I learned to appreciate myself. I learned to feed myself when I was
Yeah.
hungry, right? I showed up
Right.
for myself. I prioritized myself. Everyone gets that idea of what friendship is.
Yeah.
They've either had a really good friend or a really bad friend, right? And they're like,
Right.
I don't want that. But often the really bad friend is what we are to ourselves.
Totally. Oh my gosh. It's such big, important work. I'm so grateful that you're doing it. I'm so appreciative as well that all the things that you shared can be applied to someone that is having a relationship that they want to change around their body and around food, but also like I can take this in my relationship, my addiction to busyness, my
Mhm.
addiction to, I mean, I, like you said, like if I stop, I don't even know, I will be eaten,
Yeah.
devoured.
Yeah. Oh, Wendy, I'm so excited for your journey.
Me too.
It is, you're just, it's can just, I mean, it was
Yeah.
painful, but
Right.
it's also very delicious,
It
right?
is. Yes.
Because you are saying yes to yourself. The
Yes.
more you slow down, the more you're saying yes to you.
And I'm allowed.
You really
And
are.
I really am. And I would tell you that you are allowed. And that's what I love. I love this podcast so much because I love that I get to have these conversations. And of course, I'm having all of my aha moments as if I were listening to somebody else's podcast, but it's mine. And I'm just so delighted at God's lavish abundance and grace to bring us all exactly what we need when we need it. And
Yeah.
sometimes to our own perception, it feels way too late or way too early, not ready. Can't do
Right.
that
Yeah.
now. That's not early. Maybe after the holidays, maybe
Right.
after, in the summer, who knows when I have time to heal. I'd like to schedule that in, but it truly is divine timing. And when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
I 100% believe that. And this is the thing, like sometimes people are like, I've been trying to fix it, I've been trying to fix this. And I'm like,
Right.
I get it because you've been trying to fix it probably the way that I was, which was by the control. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'm not feeling better. I'm not feeling better. I'm not feeling better. Keep doing that. I'm not feeling better. I really do want to feel better. And so
Right.
when we are in that journey of feeling, I want to feel better, I'm really trying to feel better, we need to slow down and look at, well,
Yeah.
what road are you actually on?
Right.
Right. And so sometimes the other road can be really scary to get on. And that's why we need someone to hold our hand to bring us over to that
Yes.
road.
Yes.
And
Yes.
for a
Oh
lot
my
of people, what
gosh.
that looks like is if I accept my body, that means I will lose control, means, it's that fear. If I accept, if I love my body, if I listen to my body, then I'm letting go of the dream of having the body that I want.
Right.
Right. And that can be really a scary experience.
Sure.
Right. And in my experience, it doesn't have to be that way. Right. Like by accepting ourselves, it's not that we are letting go. Right. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, if you accept your body, that means that now you're shoving a whole bunch of food in your mouth. And now
Right.
the acceptance is just accepting what is. And then there's a whole process of learning how to listen and actually to feed the
Yeah.
body the way it wants to be fed authentically, not from
Right.
the control. But the control can feel like it's the only way
Right.
for a lot of people who are in the black and white.
Sure.
Right? They're in the
Yes.
high or they're in the low. And there
Right.
is that in between space, but sometimes that in between space by ourselves is when we need that support.
Yes.
That's in that in between that is the authentic self.
Absolutely. And in the desire for the feelings that are associated with that end result, identifying those and then practicing ways to feel that. So if I say, if rest is my desired, that's going to feel like relief. That's going to feel like grace. That's going to feel warm and inviting.
Yes.
That's going to feel like an exhale. Okay, what are other things that I can do that make me feel like that? What It's an exhale for me to have a call with my friend Sharon. That's what I'm going to do. She lives in California. I'm in Massachusetts. She's not helping me. She's not taking anything off my plate. She's not, doing
Yeah.
anything to make my physical workload be anything different. But time with her is always well spent and it is an invitation to linger. And that all says rest to me. So I can softly go into this place of healing.
Beautiful. I love that, Wendy. Wow. So powerful.
Thank you. And it
Yeah.
feels easy, which is what I'm going for.
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's just those little bitty steps, right? Like
Mhm.
just the next doable increment,
Yeah.
just that next. And
Yeah.
when we add on that and we add on that and we add
Right.
on that, that's when we're building a muscle, right? We're
Yes.
building the muscle of self respect. We're building the muscle
Mm.
of becoming our own best friend. We're changing it.
Yes.
And so sometimes the smaller things are more powerful. Now we
Right.
think that people are going for the 20-pound weight loss, right? Or whatever
Right.
it is. But it's sometimes those moments of connection with ourselves, the smaller
Yeah.
ones that really do make a difference.
Absolutely. And it's easier to repeat those, which is what gives them their power, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. I could talk to you all day long. You hold very beautiful sacred space. I'm so happy for your clients and for everyone reading this book and working with you. Please tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can get their hands on the book, all the good things.
Great. So loveyourbodyloveyourself.com is my website. So you can find pretty much everything there. But I have my book there. It's on Amazon. Once again, it's Befriend Yourself. If you go to my website, you'll see that if you buy the book and you come back there and put in your order number, you will get my free Body Compassion Collective course.
Oh, wonderful. That's so generous. Thank you. And we will link everything down in the show notes.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Marla. This has been a
Thank you,
beautiful
Wendy.
conversation.
Yeah, thank you, listeners, for being here and bringing light into the world.
Yes. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.